Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be primarily focusing on the tropics, where we have some big updates to talk about in that department. Also, the temperature pattern, where a big cool down seems very likely. Now, let's get straight into things, and first things first, we're taking a look, as always, at this current radar imagery here, and as you can see, we have plenty of activity happening out west, and this was the expectations, and this is currently what's obviously taking place. We can see there is some activity up there in the northeast, and then offshore of the southeast and the Gulf states, we have this typical tropical thunderstorm activity. I feel like I've said that about 100 million times this year, but really it is typical from April all the way in through October or November to be seeing these types of conditions. And really it only slows down during the winter months for a very brief period, especially down here. It can linger for most of the year. These areas start to get a little bit less of that tropical activity heading that far north. Let's just take a look here. Better yet, let's just take a look here at the northwest. We have some showery activity, heavy at times here for Washington and Oregon. So keep that in mind. But these are pretty isolated at this point and scattered about. So it's unlikely that you in a specific spot here in eastern Washington are actually going to see rainfall. I would say there's about 40% of everybody seeing rainfall in here. And it's really moving out at this point, mostly up into Canada and probably going to head eastward into Idaho. These areas here in Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming here are seeing a little bit of some lighter activity, mostly greens in here, although there is some yellows and oranges popping up for some spots. So all of this activity is, a little bit more widespread out here, but a little bit lighter than your areas to the northwest of you. Now, for Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, and Arizona, we do have some lighter and heavier pockets in here, some more widespread areas, and some more scattered about areas. We can see the heaviest and the most widespread areas there is going to be for southern Utah, northern Arizona, and then southern Nevada as well. It's kind of that corner there is where we're seeing this pocket of the heaviest activity and the most widespread. Throughout the rest of the regions, it's mostly lighter and mostly scattered about. So this is going to be our primary area to focus on here out west. There is plenty of flooding warnings coming in because obviously we know these areas don't usually see a lot of rainfall. And actually, I can say this, they've seen a lot of rainfall recently actually in this area compared to normal. So seeing this on top of that is probably why a lot of these flooding warnings are coming in. So keep that in mind. This is looking like a pretty heavy event here, and it's on top of some other pretty heavy events as well, which makes it even worse. Now, for the Gulf states, like I mentioned, all of this seems to be offshore at this point, but we do just have these tropical thunderstorm activity. This will come on shore later this afternoon, most likely, for a lot of these areas where we'll see these storms sparking up. The southeast is the same thing. Oftentimes, we could see some thunderstorms popping up in here. Other times, not. We had a cold front roll through, so I would not be surprised if we don't see that happen today, and we see mostly a drier day here for the southeast coast. Now, for the northeast, we do have a spinning low up here in Canada, and this is leading towards precipitation for a lot of different regions, heading in just like this and heading up just like this on this end. So we're seeing some light to moderate to even heavy rainfall in certain spots here associated with this low pressure system. This is a pretty strong low. It looks like it's bringing some pretty hefty areas of rainfall as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to focus on the upcoming pattern, where we'll talk about the storminess, the total precipitation, the total snowfall, and even that tropical activity as well as the big cool down that I was telling you guys about earlier. We're going to get into all those things in just a moment. Now, here we are taking a look at that storminess, and as you can see, by the time we're reaching this afternoon, we see some of these thunderstorms moving onshore to Florida. Not as much the other Gulf states, actually. We see this storm really picking up out west. We're seeing more and more storminess with that. Our Canada low will actually move out, so we're going to see less precipitation over the northeast over time. So things will be drying up and becoming a lot more pleasant. As we can see, by the time we're reaching Thursday the 15th here, we still have this storminess up here in the north central and northwestern United States, as well as a bit of the southeast, but it's a little bit quieter on Thursday, and then Friday is even quieter. We do again have this storminess up here, and we actually see some snowfall mixing in for Wyoming, so we're starting to see some of that snowfall. And then underneath here, We're seeing a bit of storminess in that region as well. By the time we're reaching the weekend, Saturday the 17th, we see some storminess in here. Also, more scattered about activity to the north. It's becoming a little bit less widespread there. By the time we're reaching Sunday here, we have a storm here, some storminess in the northeast, and then some storminess in the southeast. Keep in mind, this is our tropical system here over the Dominican Republic there. So that's officially moved in. And as we move on the next couple of hours after that, all the way towards Monday afternoon, that's going to be the 19th, we see it moves offshore of there, and now it's over water for the most part. It is over the Bahamas, but that is not going to really lead towards much impact to the storm because the land is not substantial enough and usually not mountainous enough to really hold the storm back at all, like the Dominican Republic or like Haiti would be. So once it moves to the north here, it should rapidly develop. Unfortunately, it's already down to a 999 millibar low pressure center, which will probably be something between a tropical depression and a tropical storm. We do see plenty of snowfall happening here up in the Canadian Rockies. We have some storminess around for the northern United States as well, but a lot quieter outside of that tropical storm that is just threatening, kind of knocking on the door. Although on this particular model run, we could see by the time we're reaching Wednesday evening, it really curves just like this and curves right out to sea. So this would be best case scenario, obviously, to see it just curve out to sea innocently. We'll have to see what happens. We checked the GFS model yesterday, and we saw that it hits the Gulf states today. I'll show you what it showed yesterday. It showed something along these lines, right into the kind of eastern Gulf there. Today, that same model actually shows this type of a scenario. It shows the East Coast getting scraped by a pretty major tropical system. And we can see the European model is much more like this. So you're kind of picking up on the possibilities. You know, if you were to draw a cone out of this, it would be something like this, which is very wide, obviously. But we could see that any of these scenarios are possible, which is pretty much any possibility. So it's all up in the air right now. But that's what we've seen from the models so far on this tropical system. We'll take a look at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook in a little bit. We can see that we get a bit of a cold front here between Friday and Saturday. Actually, Thursday, better yet. This is early on Thursday. We have a cold front stretching just like this underneath, and we could see some storminess for the northeast with this cold front. And this is actually going to lead towards a pretty major trough. So let's take a look at the upcoming temperature pattern. Right now, we're dealing with some cooler than normal conditions here in the east and the west. The west is much cooler than normal. And as we move on with this, we see we reach a warmer period here in the east by about the 19th. So what this will look like is a trough in the west, which is called a negative PNA. And this leads towards above normal temperatures for pretty much all of the central and eastern United States. And the cool air is all diving into this region. And if not there, it's diving into the northeast, bringing those warmer temperatures south of there. Now, we see this just lingers on, and then here's Thursday where that cold front's coming through. So we see the big cool down really just striking down the heat. And watch as this just totally takes over. Huge Arctic blast here for Friday into Saturday around the 24th time frame. We can see that huge cold air mass. And this is the end of the model run, so this is as far as we get. But it does look pretty potent at this point, and we can look forward towards some warmer times and some cooler times as well. Now, as far as total precipitation, here we are taking a look at it. If you're anywhere in the whites, you're taking a look at practically no precipitation. Your grays will be 1/10 of an inch or less. Your greens will be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Your blues will be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 to 10 inches of precipitation. I think the most interesting thing happening here is that there's no precipitation over the southeast. This area that saw most of our precipitation throughout the summer months and some of September here are seeing practically none now, which is really interesting to see. It's a total flip from what we were seeing before. Obviously, this pending tropical system could completely shake up this forecast. If that does go out to sea like this model shows, we will see probably, obviously, no precipitation from it. Now, as far as total snowfall, if you're anywhere in the grays, we're looking at a dusting, if anything, and then blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. You're probably thinking, where's that major snowstorm that the GFS model showed? Well, the European model only gets out to hours 240, so that would be beyond this. So this is not in the range where that snowstorm is possible yet. Now, as far as the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook, let's go check it out. Here we are taking a look at it. Our easternmost system has dissipated as far as possibilities go. I have seen some models trend at it possibly happening. So I think that could pop back up over time. But as far as what the National Hurricane Center is showing, they're only showing this one now. And it has gone up. We do see a 40% chance of development over the next 48 hours, and then a 50% chance of development over the next 5 days, significantly higher than we saw yesterday. And it's pretty much on pace to start becoming a high chance tropical system potentially. And really, this is our biggest threat of the season so far. So we're going to really watch this one closely. Be sure to tune in daily as we will be checking this out. Be sure to subscribe also. Like the video if you enjoyed it and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next video.